Hi everyone, this is Sagar Shah and I welcome you to our journey on the tactical motif of pin. We have learned about absolute pin and the position on your screen right now is that of an absolute pin. Why is it called an absolute pin? Well, that's because right now the bishop is pinned to the king. It cannot move at all because it's not allowed by the rules of the game. There would be a check to the king. So that is an absolute pin. But there's also another kind of pin which is known as a relative pin. As you can see in this position, the knight is pinned to the queen, but it can move. It is allowed by the rules of the game to move. So it can move away, but you would lose the queen. Okay. Let's look at another position. Is this a pin? Yes, it is. Because if the knight moves away, in this case, like this, then the bishop is lost for free. But does it matter if the bishop is defended? Well, if the bishop is defended, like in this case with the rook, then this is not a pin because the moment you move the knight away, I cannot take the bishop because it is defended by the rook. Now the reason I cannot take it is because my rook is worth 5 points and the bishop is worth 3 points. So the value of the pinning piece and the piece to which something is pinned is also important, and the fact that it is defended or undefended, that is also important. Let's look at just one last example before I give you training positions. Is this a pin? Yes, it is. Why? Because if the knight moves away, I am getting a better deal. My rook is worth 5 points, your queen is 9. So even though the queen is defended in this case, if I take, you take back, white has won 4 points net because he won the queen and lost a rook. So that's about a bit about the relative pin, but as always the configuration of a pin is the same. 3 pieces in one line, one of yours, 2 of opponents. Okay, let's go to the next position. Now it's your time to solve. First one on the board here, let's go. It's black to play, so I'm going to flip it. Black to play. How do you continue this position? Try to think, try to figure out what would you do here. Okay, did you get the answer? Did you get confused? Well, if you were confused, then here's a position for you to understand the setup even better. What should black do here? When two pieces are like this, you know you need to get a third piece in the row, and that's a pin. So the rook is kind of pinned to the rook there, and that's the answer. So the move here that I was looking at is bishop g6, and this is a winning position for black. Okay, let's go to the next one. What do you do here as white to play? So here the answer, let's first also look at the skeleton position. This is the skeleton position here. What does white do? Yes, bishop d4, 3 pieces in one diagonal this time. And so the right answer over here is bishop d4, pinning the rook to the queen, and you are winning the game. Okay, let's go to the next one. What should black play in this position? Black to play. Right. Let's have a look at the skeleton position once again so that the answer is clear. Here, 2 pieces on one diagonal. You get the third piece here. You pin the knight to the rook. And so the right answer in this position is nothing but bishop e5, pinning the knight to the rook, and you win the game. Notice there's no way to defend this knight. Otherwise, it could have continued the game. There's no way. Okay, let's go to the next one. What should black do in this position? Black to play. Well, let me pull up our skeleton position. This is the one. Black to move. just bring your bishop back, and there you have a nice juicy pin. So that's why the right answer even in this position is bishop f6, and black was down material but will now be able to equalize the game. One more, guys. Let's go, come on. This one is white to play. What should white do in this position? And this one is easy for you now. I know it. Let's go. Here's the answer. First, the skeleton position. You know it. Two pieces in one line. Bishop b4, putting all three pieces in one diagonal. And so here, the right answer is bishop b4, winning the knight, and you win the game. The knight cannot, I mean, it can move, but you will lose the queen, right? So, next one here. This time, slightly tricky. What should white do in this position? Look carefully because it can get confusing. Okay, in order to make things simple, the skeleton position is here for you. White to play, what do? Two pieces here, and you just bring your rook and you will win either of the two, right? So the right move here is rook to d8, and notice how you cannot survive here because the rook cannot come here and defend the knight. If the knight moves away, then the bishop is hanging and white wins. Okay, let's go to one more here. This one is black to play. What should black do in this position? Not simple, not simple. Try to think, try to put your head. What do you do here? Well, let's have a look at the skeleton position. You know, when you see this, two pieces here, you get your rook and you pin the knight to the queen. And so that's the reason why the right answer here is rook f8, pinning the knight to the queen. And notice how there are already two attackers on the position and there's no way to defend. Maybe there is a small little move like knight e6, but it doesn't work because after rook f8, rook f2, knight c7, rook f1, bishop f1, and bishop c7, black is up a piece. Okay, let's go. This one is black to play. What do you do in this position? Not so tough. Okay, let's have a look at the skeleton position here. You will see that knight and rook are in one line, and so you can go with your rook, pin the knight to the rook, which is undefended, and so the right answer here in this position is rook to c8. And if this rook was defended, then it's not a pin because the knight could move, but because it's undefended, you can simply win it. Okay, here is one more for you. This one is white to play. What should white do in this position? Well, here the very nice move by white is, try to think. Let's look at the skeleton position. The rook pins the knight to the queen, and that's why the right move here is rook to d1. This one is slightly more complicated because here you have two attackers against the queen, but black can play the move c6, and that's the reason why it's slightly more complicated. Now the knight is defended, and what do you do now? A pinned piece must be attacked. We will talk about it in the next lesson, but still here you get an idea. You play your pawn to c4 and you will win the knight because the knight cannot move, otherwise you lose the queen. I think there's one more left. Let me just pull that up. Yes, this is the final one for you. It's black to play. What do you do in this position? This is quite tough, and try to think, what would you play here as black? So here the right move in this position is queen. Let me first show you the skeleton position. Is this one. So you see there are two pieces in one line. Now you don't play queen h1 and get the third piece in one line because the queen will take queen. But you play queen c6, and in this way you are basically pinning the knight to the queen, right? So in our main position, you play queen c6 and the knight is pinned. But notice you cannot win it because it's defended. What you're doing is you are immobilizing the knight for the time being. Next move, you want to bring your bishop here, attack it. You want to bring your rook here, attack it, because a pinned piece must be attacked. So after bishop e3, rook d8, and rook d1, bishop e6, black wins. Well, there are some calculations that need to be done. For example, if knight b6 check, a b6 is taken, you can't take the rook because the queen is hanging, and if you were to take the queen, I have an intermediate check, bishop goes back, or let's say king moves up, then I take and I'm a rook and a piece up. Well, that's a little bit beyond the point. The main thing that you have to note is that you need to first pin the knight to the queen and then attack the pinned piece, and you have got the right answer. Well, I hope you enjoyed and understood relative pin, and that you have mastered this subject. I will see you again very soon with another lesson. Take care. This is Sagar Shah signing off. Bye bye.